welcome to Let's Be Honest Now. We're dealing with a topic today of addiction, and the three of us here, Stephanie, myself, and Layla, are going to be attempting to answer some questions relating to this topic. So, here we go.
Addictive attitudes, I think, or behaviors for me would be what society expects the woman to look like, especially as black women. Our body figure, so we've got a lot of body issues. I think that's a quite addictive behavior, because everybody says we should look like Barbie, even though a lot of us don't look like Barbie. I think as well the need to be in a relationship or being with a guy to complete you. So I think that need to be completed by a thing or someone is what I'm noticing, because I'm in that category as well. So yeah.
No, I think that's the big one that you've touched on is the thing with wanting to be in a relationship and what that brings. What do you think?
I think all of them always go back to who the person is as an individual. All of those things we try and allow them to add to us rather than adding to us. They make up who we are. So yeah, I think those are the main things that you see. Especially, actually, yeah, they are, because I'll be scrolling through Instagram, and those are probably the three things you see. Like, you see like the Weight Watchers, you see like the waist corsets they're wearing now. You see like everyone's getting engaged and all of this, and you're like, where is my life going? So yeah, I think those are definitely the most obvious things right now.
So it seems to be a lot to do with image.
Yeah, because for me, a lot of black women are looking the same. Everyone's got, do you understand? And it's the stereotypical view of, you know, the long weave and the claws, as I like to call them. Because they are. Because right now, they're actually, the thing is for them to be pointed. And I just don't understand. Yeah. But then I'm old, so. Older.
Yeah.
So, and because I had a body issue, and sometimes, you know, when you put it a bit away, you do think about, how do I look? Can you dress accordingly? So I think for women, we've got the behaviours of either dressing and showing everything, or dressing and showing nothing. And again, it goes back to the identity and not really being comfortable and knowing who we are. So I think that behaviour is addictive, and I think everything stems out of that. So the having to have the latest items and having to have the latest bags and things like that. So yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, another thing I would probably point out is how things change over time, because I remember when things were, okay, you're a woman, so be independent. That was the thing. It wasn't about having a boyfriend. It wasn't about being engaged or being married. It was just, no, I can do this by myself.
Your thing,
I can do my thing.
Yeah.
And now it's like we've gone to a different phase, and everyone's kind of jumped on it. So I definitely get what you mean with times are changing and things like follow a trend at different points in life. So yeah.
That's a big one. I think what I would say on that note is that yes, they can birth out addictive tendencies because of what you end up engaging in with that person that you are in a relationship with. Like for myself personally, from a past relationship that I was in, there were things that my partner would have me doing that at the time might not have been a vice for me at that time, but they become that because you want to please that person. And as you say, it comes back to that thing about identity and actually being comfortable in who you are first anyway. So when you're with someone, they start to introduce certain things, you know, dress like that kind of thing, or do that kind of thing because it pleases them. Essentially, you are engaging in a behavior that can sort of like have you twist up like for years afterwards, like even after they've left kind of thing, or you've moved on. So I definitely do see that in past relationships. What do you guys?
Leia?
Just to add on to what you said, I think we tend to, especially as a woman, you know, if we're in a relationship, we're in love most of the time, or we assume that we're in love, or it's the feeling we're in love. We're in love, and when your heart is broken, I think for me, my past relationships, either I did not want to be with a guy, and therefore when I was treated nicely, I disengaged and it affected my behaviour, or every other guy had to be up to that guy or better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
so
yeah.
then you start, if you went out with someone that was tall, dark and handsome, which every girl wants, then the next guy has to be tall, dark and handsome. But if he's short, dark and handsome, you're not going to give him, no, but it's true, you're not going to give him the
time
opportunity.
of
And I think
day,
as females, that could actually have been the one, but it just stops your viewpoint. You don't allow people to come close to you. It affects you. You start asking yourself, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? You start eating away at your own self-image. So I think, apart from picking up vices, it affects you as well. Because I think that as women, we can, I feel in my experience, I don't have the capacity like men. Does that make sense? And I feel that, like you're talking about trends, before it used to be, let's be independent. Now it's, you've got to be in a relationship, and it's confusing, I think, for me, and it goes back to identity.
Any thoughts, Stephanie?
I think I'll come from a different type of relationship, probably in terms of family. I feel like, depending on what type of family you come from, what background, for me, I come from a family where, not on purpose, but you try and please your parents. So out of that, you don't realise that you do it even outside of family. So even in your workplaces, when you go to work, you're constantly trying to prove yourself, trying to please someone, and you don't realise how addictive it becomes. Addictive sounds like, I don't know, but it becomes something that's so part of you that you can't not do it. So sometimes it's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes it is, and sometimes you take it too far. So let's say my dad wants me to be this person. I don't necessarily want to be that, but for the fact that I want to please him, I put myself in awkward positions or places where I don't want to be, just to get that approval from someone. So there's different types of addictive behaviour you can get from different relationships. So yeah,
it sounds like what you're saying is I think, coming back to my experience being in the past relationship, one of the things that I came away realising in retrospect is that that person became my God. So it sounds like what you're saying on both sides is that the roots, if you like, behind addictions is that you're yielding yourself to something or to someone, and they become your God. So in a sense, it is a form of worshipping, if you like, in terms of you, as you say, putting yourself in situations that you wouldn't normally do of your own volition to gain approval. So it's that same sort of thing that we do when we're in those situations where you will put yourself at all kinds of odds to gain the approval of someone. So essentially you're now actually causing that person or elevating that person to a position that they actually shouldn't occupy. And that's what I think is behind a lot of the things with past relationships, or just relationships in general, whoever it is, that whoever you elevate to that position where essentially you become their servant, or you become their slave. That is essentially you become their servant in that sense. So a servant, in the broadest term, you think of someone who has a house and they have servants and everything, they will cater that person's every whim, and that servant does it even to the detriment of their own selves.